Jacob, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, Drew. But wouldn't more already disappear out of the holodeck?
I think the only thing holographic is your brain. No, you fool, we're going to review an animated movie on this here podcast.
Brilliant! No, wait. Why would anybody want to listen to two geeks like us?
Because, you fool, these people are so very easily entertained.
Okay, Drew. Narf!
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who is the only thing that could be considered a worse toy than Buzz Lightyear for Woody. Jacob!
Wow, okay. That's a new one, thanks.
Well, I know you have a tendency to be a little rough in your demeanor sometimes.
All right, why thank you. I'd like to introduce our co-host, a man who has become a very delusional toy. Welcome, Drew.
You don't want to be in the way when my laser goes off.
Yeah, no. None of us wanted to be there.
No.
No.
So, how are you doing today, Jacob?
Man, I am tired. I've been very tired. I've been very blessed and very fortunate with the church we go to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a kind of the backup janitor.
Mm-hmm.
And so last week when we did our little hiatus,
Yes.
and so I had the opportunity to go clean the church,
Mm-hmm.
which is always very fun when you're up there at 9 o'clock at night and there's no one else there. It'd be like you never think we'd be kind of slightly unhinged or nervous about walking down a hallway when there's no lights on.
Well,
In a massive building like that?
That's a weird thing, because every time you go to church, any of us go to church,
Yeah.
even during the current conditions,
Right, exactly.
we still expect there to be a lot of people in there. We expect it to be bright and cheery. We don't expect it to be as quiet as a tomb.
Yeah, exactly. just
It's like being in a stadium when there's nobody there.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
All right, yeah, I've been doing pretty good. Working on some projects. One, I'm going to give this huge shout out to a listener and very faithful listener to us, Heather Morgan. She's helped out so many ways with news and links and that kind of. She's shared all kinds of stuff for it. And I'm going to give a huge shout out to her son Samuel Morgan because his mom reached out on my Facebook feed. And she wanted me to draw him a Sonic, and I'm going to draw him a Sonic, a metal Sonic. And so, big shout out to Samuel, and I hope you enjoy it when I finally get around to doing it. And I'll post it and send it to you guys, and hope you guys enjoy it.
Alrighty then.
Let's see. Also, I do have one little special thing for probably most of you have already seen it, but I'm going to show it here. I did a little piece for...
This will probably also be on your album art on your player this week, too.
Rock on.
Which means I do need to take a picture of that before you leave.
I got you. I'll send you a picture. Okay, then. Either way, yeah, I did this for the podcast ever since we're doing Toy Story. And I just wanted to do something fun. Obviously, you can't really see it in real good high definition here. But go to my Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner. You can see all what I did with it. This is watercolor with ink and white ink and pencil. It took me about 4 hours to do this piece, and I'm really proud of it. And so, yeah, go check it out. And if you are interested in commissions, because I do commissions art-wise, just go hook me up there or go to my personal Facebook page of Jacob B. Heron, and let me know if you're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever. Just let me know, and we can get that process started.
Alrighty,
yeah, that's the piece I've been working on. What have you been working? How have you been?
I have had a long couple weeks. Part of the reason we were on hiatus is because I went to Amarillo over the weekend.
Yeah.
Out of respect for the people I went to Amarillo for, and the fact that they don't like their information aired out over the internet.
I got you.
I will not be speaking of why I was up there, but
yeah,
those who know why.
Yeah. Yeah,
unlike my cousin
I got you.
who broke the rule after 14 hours.
Oh wow!
I'm proud of her. This is a record for her.
Yeah. Okay. So be like there again, not saying anything about what happened.
Right.
It's more to
It's
what
just,
happened.
I was out of town for the
Right.
weekend. While I was out of town, just to get into a little bit of what I've been watching.
Yeah.
I did watch a couple episodes of The Office. If you've ever watched that TV show,
Nope.
you might enjoy it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I'm very stingy about comedy.
yes, but this is a little more realistic.
Okay.
It's also a little crazy, but hey, it is what it and that's
It is what-
and that's the thing is while it is a comedy,
Yeah.
there is actually a story.
Okay.
It's just you got to read between the lines to catch the story.
I
If
gotcha.
that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And that's why generally people prefer the U.S. version to the British version that started it, because the British was, well, British humor.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's bad, but it doesn't really focus on in this case, I haven't watched too much of the British Office. I don't think it focuses on the overarching story. This, you get to where you pretty much know and like all these characters, even though they're all crazy.
Yeah. I've actually seen some of the British Office.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I prefer British comedy over English American comedy.
Generally, British comedy does tend to be more serious.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I don't think the British Office works as well as the U.S. version.
Okay.
That's just what it comes down to.
Okay.
All right. Then you do have John Krasinski being the perfect character to foil Rainn Wilson. AKA Jim and Dwight.
Oh, okay. Even though I've never seen the show,
know Dwight.
I know who you're referring to.
Yes.
Okay.
And plus, the love story between Jim and Pam is still one of the best ones I've ever watched.
Okay.
But anyway, so I watched a little bit of that. I've been watching. What else have I been watching? I've watched a couple movies.
Yeah.
For my own personal pleasure. One of which was the movie Colossal, which is a odd movie. I'll say it is kind of a strange mixture of your monster movies, kind of like Godzilla, what we generally call kaiju movies.
Yeah.
It's a weird mixture of that, kind of an anti-Hallmark movie in a way.
Okay.
It's got the Hallmark flavoring, but it's like not a Hallmark movie.
Okay, so it's almost like
It's a fantasy rom-com kaiju, not really Hallmark, but kind of feels like Hallmark kind of a movie.
Okay.
What it's about is Anne Hathaway is in this.
Oh, okay.
She realizes that there's a monster in Seoul, South Korea, that's attacking it.
Yeah.
That she's controlling, and she doesn't realize it.
Okay.
But she realizes it early on in the movie, and so in the process of all that, it's an interesting movie. I know a lot of people did. It's kind of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Controversial.
Yeah.
It wasn't not really in a bad way. It's just some people liked it, some people didn't. So it is kind of a like it, hate it movie.
Right.
But I enjoyed the fool out of it because it was just it was both a fun movie and it had a serious side to it. And it is probably, I won't say it's the best cinematography, but they do a lot of good stuff in there, especially at one point, not to get into the story because I kind of want to. There's an aspect of the story I didn't know about going into it, and when I found it out, I realized I don't want to tell people that's coming.
Gotcha.
But there is a point when Anne Hathaway is kind of not really beat up, but her and somebody else get into a fight.
Yeah, get into a tussle.
Yeah, and she's on the ground, and the other person is mocking them by acting like they're stomping all over these buildings.
Okay.
But because they're watching what's going on in South Korea, honestly, you actually hear as the person steps down on it, the cries of anguish and destruction over this little bitty speaker.
Oh, that is hilarious.
It's like I love how it's timed, and it was so cool. It's one of those I wished I had gotten a chance to watch it in theaters. I also watched Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Oh yeah.
Now I am not a horror movie fan.
No, but this is almost like tropes it.
Kind of, but at the same time, as a not really a horror movie fan, I don't have the appreciation for some of this stuff a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I didn't enjoy the movie, but there was some of this that just felt... saying it's over the top is like saying that... saying I didn't like it as it felt over the top, it would be like saying I didn't like... Godzilla because of the monster fights.
Okay.
You kind of know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I know it's supposed to be over the top.
Right.
I understand that. But there is like you with a lot of comedies, sometimes I feel like I need to at least care about these people.
Right.
And I didn't care about, I kind of cared about Dale. I didn't care about Tucker. And I kind of feel in some ways, because I had never seen the movie, it had been suggested to me 100 different times. So maybe it was a little overhyped for me, but it wasn't, I didn't hate it, but it was just kind of okay. And last but most certainly not least on my list, I watched Psych 2, Lassie Come Home. You know the television show Psych?
Yeah. I've seen a few episodes.
This is the second made-for-television movie that they have made for the series after it ended.
Yeah.
Continuing the show, kind of, but as movies. This, I did not know this had come out, or that the streaming service that it was on, Peacock, had come out, had launched. And I just happened to find out about it, and so Sunday night, over a week ago, I loaded up and said, well, it's free. Why not watch it? I love Psych.
Yeah.
I watched the movie. The movie is so stinking good.
Okay.
But a lot of what I love the movie is because it's a lot like the show. So if you don't like the show, you may not like the movie. Granted, but I love the show and I loved this movie. And it's, at least this time we did get some major roles from the guy who plays Lassiter, whose name I can't think of. And I feel like a horrible fan right now because I can't think of the actor's name. He's on he's like on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think it is John Lasseter. Boy, Timothy Odmanson.
Oh, okay.
He was not in the first Psych the movie because of his stroke.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that
So
definitely took me out.
So he couldn't be out. He was only had like a short cameo at the very end, and so much of what makes Psych good is the back and forth between the straight-laced John Lasseter and Sean Spencer, who is, he's crazy.
Yeah, he's a crazy con artist.
He's a con artist pretending to be a psychic for the police department. And the crazy thing is by this point in the show, they all know he's faking, and they don't care.
Yeah,
because he's still the one solving all the crimes.
Yeah, he's got this he can be he's very alert about everything. And
that's what's so great about the show. So A, watch Psych. B, watch all three of the hour-long Psych, over an hour-long Psych stuff, such as Psych the Musical, Psych the Movie, and Psych 2, Lassie Come Home.
Wait, there's a musical?
Yes, called Psych the Musical.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
It's funny.
All right, then.
Anyway.
All right.
So, yeah, that's what I've been watching. I kind of jumped ahead. But so what have you been watching?
What have I been watching? Really, with how everything's been going on for the last week and a half.
You're quacking again.
Apparently. I've watched, I think the first 6 or 7 episodes of X-Men Evolution on Disney Plus. It's a really good, very underrated series. Most people it's like, oh, it was the early 90s X-Men stuff.
Well, admittedly, I love the early 90s X-Men stuff.
Yeah.
I honestly, you said X-Men Evolution?
Yeah, X-Men Evolution.
That was the late 90s one,
okay,
right?
Late 90s.
No, I'm just trying to make sure I'm remembering, because I know there was the early X-Men from the show that technically, I can't remember who put it out. Anyway, you had the early one that from the 90s that had Jubilee.
Yeah.
And then you had this show that was on Kids WB.
Yeah, this was like the early 2000s.
Right. But it was still before Wolverine and the X-Men.
Yeah. Yeah, which had the amazing talent of Steve Bloom as Wolverine.
Yeah.
which I loved. I was like, oh my gosh, when you hear him as Wolverine, like amazing cast, the whole bit, enchilada. This is where we get X-23, and that's a really good episode. So if you're ever wondering the character behind the movie Logan, you can thank X-Men Evolution for that. All right. And I watched another Disney Plus show that came out in the probably late 90s. Mm-hmm. The Mighty Ducks. Not the movies.
Oh, you mean the weird sci-fi show?
Yes, exactly. Ducks from outer space come down to Earth and play hockey as Mighty Ducks.
This was the goofiest tie-in I had ever seen.
Yes.
It's like, you know that movie with Emilio Estevez teaching all these kids how to play hockey?
Yeah.
That got so popular that when Disney bought the Anaheim hockey team, they renamed them to the Mighty Ducks. Well, now here's a cartoon with a bunch of sci-fi ducks, alien ducks, fighting evil in the middle of Anaheim, California.
Yes.
Have fun, kids!
Yeah. Let's say it was the late 90s. It's just like, how weird you can get it, it's going to get weirder.
It was very much an extreme show.
Yeah, exactly. Everything about the 90s was extreme. Everything.
And what's weird about this show, from what I remember, it's actually pretty good.
It is, actually. The story is very good. The pilot actually is very good. How they build the story, the mythology, and everything. It's really good, and I would highly recommend going to Disney Plus, watch it, and enjoy it. Watch it for what it is. It's definitely 90s. It has the 90s way out there, man. Like whole enchilada. It's so fun, and just go watch it for what it is. Take it at a grain of salt. Remember context from back in the 90s, back in the late 90s, because how weird things were in the late 90s.
Yes, this was the show that reminded us that ducks rock.
Yeah, exactly. Whack.
Anyway,
apparently I just keep whacking this show.
Apparently, you've gone quackers.
Yeah.
Anyway,
all right. So yeah, that is what I've been watching in between. Okay. In between working and going and doing janitorial work at the church and drawing. That's about the only thing I've been able to watch.
Well, so before we get into our news for this week, we've got a little bit of podcast news.
Okay.
Because this podcast that you're listening to right now, if you're on the Facebook Live, comes out on Saturdays, right?
Yes.
Well, sometime between this episode coming out and whatever our next review is the following Saturday, we may have a special thing starting sometime in the middle of the week. I don't know the release schedule for it yet.
That's right. Yeah.
Because we started a little side project that we've kind of hinted at.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Quite a bit. And we decided to kind of start a little early since we kind of things are timing out.
Yeah, exactly.
What we have been working on will still not release until the beginning of the year, but to kind of give you a taste of what's coming, starting next week, which is between the first week of August, we will be reviewing week by week the upcoming Star Trek animated television series, Star Trek Lower Decks.
Yes. As
a part of what we're calling the Cellcast.
The animated series.
And this is kind of a fun thing for us. Now, for this first one that we're doing, it's only 10 episodes. It's going to come out. You will get 11 episodes from us because we start with a prologue, which is why we need to start this week and not next week when it comes out. And like I said, I have not decided when for this thing I'm going to put it out. I'm thinking I'm going to try and plan it for Monday morning, but it may be Tuesday.
Okay.
I don't know yet. But we're going to do a prologue, talk about what we're hoping for this show. We'll probably talk about the trailer, which if you've not seen the trailer, we'll watch it beforehand.
Okay.
And it's just going to be a bunch of fun of us looking at every single episode of a television show. In this case, a show that's not even out yet, and hopefully we won't regret watching.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. That's the always hope when you try a new show, is you're always hoping you're not going to regret watching the show.
Yeah.
The difference is, for most of you people out there, once it starts getting where it's regretful, long before it gets regretful, you can stop. We can't.
True.
So
Yeah, once we get started in a series, we cannot stop.
We have to finish.
We have to go through.
Especially for these reviews, because that is our goal, to bring quality entertainment for you. But for this particular one, it is going to be weekly on top of our regular show.
Yeah.
Come February, the schedule will be much different.
Yes.
And we may throw something out in between the finish of this one and before our February show. But if you're at all interested in Star Trek Lower Decks, keep an eye out for our podcast over at your favorite podcast catcher, because these will be coming up intermixed. That's not a word. Intermixed between regular episodes of our show.
Okay.
Of our movie reviews. So keep an eye out for that.
So you said this is 10 episodes?
Yes.
Is this coming out weekly or?
It is coming out weekly.
Okay.
My understanding is it's coming out every Thursday.
Okay.
We're watching the show on Saturday.
Okay.
So that's why I'm thinking Tuesday.
Okay.
Tuesday will be when this goes out.
Okay. All right.
Hopefully still well within the range of people want to hear what we think about it, but not
too far out where people
far enough out we can actually still do a little bit of research if we need to.
Right.
Because I'm sure the first time I watch it, I'm not going to catch half the names that wrote and directed and all this other stuff and all the little bitty references.
Oh yeah. Ever since you're the truckee of the bunch.
Yes. And
you're gonna geek out on this show.
I'm sure to some degree, much like with Picard and Discovery, I will geek out on aspects of the show. But I also may get mad at aspects of the show that
probably
you will wonder why I'm getting so mad.
Be like, why is my friend blowing up here? Explain.
Because Star Trek is one of those. I'm sure you understand, but Star Trek is a show that I probably hold to a higher standard than I would most any other form of entertainment.
True.
Which can be annoying to people who don't hold it to that high standard. So that's all it comes down to.
All right. So with that, we're there again. We are starting another podcast. Cellcast, the animated series.
But you will not have to go find subscribe to a different feed. Just stick with this feed. You'll get the episodes.
Exactly. And so I want to bring it to our audience just really quick. Ever since it's only going to be 11 episodes, and we have a chunk of space between that and the launch of the
full version,
the full version, which we're going to do. So what would you, our audience, think of series like short series, maybe canceled series?
Yes. Stuff that's maybe just a season long.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing that's multi-season yet.
Yeah, I did have one. Someone did mention you should check out the Legend of the Three Caballeros on Disney Plus, and that comes from
Heather Morgan. That on there. That looked interesting, but I've never watched the original movie.
No, I haven't either.
I know I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I never watched the whole thing.
Yeah, I would pose a recommendation of doing Thundercats 2011.
Okay.
Because it is one season, sadly.
Mm-hmm. As long as you can get a hold of it.
Oh, that's easy.
So we can watch it.
That's easy.
Okay.
All right. So so we will take consideration any offers or any ideas people have that either posted on the Facebook or during the broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
Just let us know, and we'll definitely mull over and think about it.
Alrighty then. So, what do we have in normal news, or do we have anything in our normal news?
Oh, we have some normal news
because I've not been able to keep up. I've not tried to keep up with it this week like I normally do.
It's all good. All right. So in the news, what's up, Doc? All right. So it's Bugs Bunny's 80th anniversary. Warner Brothers Home Entertainment invites you to celebrate the Wackyleys Rabbit milestone.
Let me help you with that. Wascally Wabbit.
Wascally Rabbit. Thank you.
It is Elmer Fudd speak.
Yeah, Wascally Rabbit. Milestone anniversary release of Bugs Bunny 8th anniversary collection, a gorgeous collection set featuring 60 theatrical shorts on Blu-ray, plus a full-size Bugs Bunny glitter Funko Pop. Available in stores November 3rd.
Okay.
It's the 80th anniversary collection will include a digital copy of all 60 original theatrical shorts, a new documentary, 10 shorts from the Looney Tunes cartoons, the new HBO Max series produced by Warner Brothers Animation and introducing letter from animation historian Jerry Burke. The collection was the price to own will be $79.99, and if you're Canadian, that'll be $89.99 on Blu-ray. So yeah, it'll come out. November 3rd, 2020.
Okay.
So if you're a fan of Bugs Bunny, hop on that. No pun intended.
Right.
Right. Okay, so this other little bit of announcement that recently came out. Mm-hmm. I know you are a fan of Phineas and Ferb.
I am a fan of Phineas and Ferb. I need to finish Phineas and Ferb.
Okay, so Phineas Ferb is getting another film.
I knew one was coming to Disney Plus.
Yes, and that would be Phineas and Ferb: Candace Against the Universe.
Yes.
Will release on Disney Plus on August 28th, 2020.
Nice. That's at the end of this month.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, one of the nice things about Phineas and Ferb is you kind of don't have to watch them in order. So, and I assume this is going to be the same way.
Okay.
So, I will probably jump ahead and watch that.
Okay.
And we'll tell you what I think later.
Okay. So, we'll probably get around eventually watching the Phineas and Ferb movies.
The movies, yes. The only reason I don't want to do the TV show for our animated series thing is because, while I love the show, they have 80 episode long seasons.
Jeez, that's like back in the 80s kind of thing.
Well, I say it's 80. It's far longer than a normal television show would do, and on Disney Plus they include the I'm in the middle of season 2 right now, and they have an episode that's literally just a top 10 countdown of all the music from season 1.
Okay.
Now, don't get me wrong, it's all great music, because that's one of the cool things about this is all the music is, even the weakest stuff is kind of got a beat to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. But at the same time, you don't really every one of these episodes is going to be kind of the same.
Yeah.
Because it's a simple premise. At the beginning of the episode, Phineas and Ferb decide they're going to build something. Where's Perry? Oh, he's over down in the Perry the Platypus.
Yeah.
He's talking to Major Monogram to find out what Dr. Doofenshmirtz is doing this week. Candace decides she's going to bust her brothers for building whatever strange monstrosity they're building this week. Somehow, by the end of the episode, whatever was going on with Perry the Platypus and Dr. Doofenshmirtz clears up whatever it is that Phineas and Ferb built before Candace can bust her brothers with it. And while that formula sounds like it could be annoying,
right?
It works for the show to the point where they can actually play with that formula and do some very creative things with this simple story structure that they repeat over and over again. But I don't know how well that would work for a review outside of the movies, because you can do the movies because they actually have more. While they follow that kind of same deal, they have more intense plot lines.
Okay, awesome.
At least we've got Phineas and Ferb across the second dimension, which is an original one, and then you've got this Candace Against the Universe, which will be its own story. But then you also have Mission Marvel, which includes Marvel Comics characters, and yes, it does have a Marvel Universe number.
Go figure.
But my favorite is Star Wars. That is such a good one.
Well, we'll definitely have to get around to
do that eventually.
Eventually get around to it. So that's basically what's in the news. And I know for a lot of us who grew up watching Looney Tunes, that's going to be a huge thing for some of us.
I'm not going to jump on buying that, because I've already got a bunch of Looney Tunes cartoons, and plus you can watch them all on HBO Max.
Disney Max.
Let's not go there.
No. No.
You can watch them all on there, plus all the new ones. And plus, this is going to sound weird, but Bugs Bunny is not my favorite Looney Tunes character. I like him.
Gosh.
I like him. Do not get me wrong. But I think I'm more of a Daffy Duck guy.
Oh, that makes sense, actually. That totally makes sense.
Anyway.
All right. So, that is what's in the news. I do. This is not a plug. We're not being sponsored by this at all. I just want to share that. Hey, I just recently tried out the Sprite tropical mix. It's really good. So give that a taste. It's really good.
Also, if the Coca-Cola Company would like to sponsor us, please
exactly,
get in touch with us.
Exactly.
because I am a big fan of your little red cans.
Yeah. Yeah, eventually I'll get into my Tourette's and Mountain Dew story
Yes.
at some point. That's a really interesting story. And so if Mountain Dew you want to do a sponsor, it'd be great. Either way.
If anyone would like to sponsor
Yes,
us, that would be
exactly.
great.
Oh, speaking of...
So now that we're done with the news, we are done with the news, correct?
Yes.
Okay, let's get into our spoiler-free section, as if nobody's ever not watched this movie, of Toy Story.
All right, so for the very, 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 very few, unless you are a very small infant or someone who has never watched television in their life,
The
be like,
toys are alive!
so
That is the entire premise of this movie. The
So-
toys are alive!
So yeah, if you do not want to be any way spoiled of this film, you haven't seen it yet. I know that's kind of like a duh. Everyone's watched this film,
Yes.
but if you haven't watched it,
Well, we're not to the spoiler-filled section.
yes, I know.
We're still in the spoiler-free. So,
Either way.
Okay, so, when did you first watch this movie?
Oh,
Because I always think this kind of a topic is interesting.
that is interesting.
Because it kind of gives the context of your initial viewing.
It
'Cause I
is.
know we've both watched this movie
Yeah,
before this.
Yes, I believe. Ooh, I want to say I saw it in theaters. This was 1995.
I believe that's correct.
Yes, 1995, and oh wow, I remember being very, very impressed with this film because there again, it's the first full length
Computer animated movie.
computer animated movie ever, which
Ever,
is
yes.
ever. Be like there were obviously you use the movie Jason the Argonauts. That was like the first kind of animated, be like
Yeah.
computer generated things, and you have
There was
go
a
into
lot
the-
of Disney stuff because of the beginning of the CAP system.
Yeah.
And some of the things they went, I think, what did we eventually figure out? Was it Great Mouse Detective or was it something like right before that?
It was right before
Kind
it.
of felt like it was the first one.
yeah, it was
With a moment in it.
yeah. I think the first one actually was the Black Cauldron.
That would make sense.
Yeah, the Black Cauldron did use some CGI, very early CGI.
But this being Pixar, I have a bit of Pixar trivia
Okay.
that may have a connection to this back wall here.
So
Yes, not Stitch.
oh,
Do you know what movie Pixar made their first computer-generated effect for? That was full screen.
oh,
I'll be honest.
Wait a minute.
It's an entire segment of a movie.
Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
Exactly. That was actually done on the Pixar computer
Uh-huh.
that the company is named after. Back when Pixar was still owned by Industrial Light and Magic.
which was George Lucas.
Exactly. So everything kind of curls back in on itself.
A little bit.
But yeah, the Genesis effect demonstration video that was used during Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan to explain what the Genesis torpedo actually did.
Yeah.
That was created by Pixar, and what's really interesting about it is after all this time, the effect, even though it's old and far less quality than even this movie.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of the effect, it still kind of sort of holds up
It does
in
actually.
a strange way. Now, a part of that is because it's a demonstration video.
Mm-hmm.
It's not meant to have been a lot of money sunk into to look like a blockbuster motion picture. This demonstration video is meant to be a project demonstration video to get Starfleet interested in investing in their project, which is why it works. It's like this looks like something that would be created for something like this. That's why it works in this. But it's still, that is the first thing Pixar ever made for a major motion picture.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was because I love The Wrath of Khan, Star Trek II.
It's a great movie.
Great movie.
Not my favorite, but it's a great movie.
Yeah.
It does deserve its place.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Now, from the cinematic buff I am, be like Star Trek II is the Star Trek film.
Yes.
To me. Now we may have different opinions on that, probably do, but
Everyone's allowed.
yeah, exactly. We're all allowed to have opinions.
6 is my favorite.
Okay, 6 is really good.
Yeah. It's closer to the Star Trek feel, in my opinion, but that's beside the point.
I gotcha. So either way, be like going back to Toy Story.
Yes.
Okay. So Toy Story, when I first watched this, when I was, I was like a very young teenager in 1995, actually. I remember being awed and be like, oh my gosh, they look like toys. They're walking, talking, feeling toys.
Yeah.
And
toys look good anyway.
Yeah, the toys look good either way, but other things not so much.
We may have some interesting thoughts coming up on that, but they're understandable thoughts.
Yes, they are. So I really enjoyed the movie when it first came out, and I still do. It's one of those films I try to watch each and every year because it's a milestone in animation, milestone in CGI when it comes to. And so if we never got Toy Story,
we wouldn't get so many other good things that
we
Pixar has
wouldn't.
given us.
Yeah, Pixar or anybody.
There is a reason why, even if it's a movie I know I'm not a big fan of, like the Cars franchise.
Yeah.
I still want to see the movie because it's Pixar.
Right.
Pixar's even Pixar's weakest stuff is good.
Right.
In strange ways.
Good deal. Yeah.
So my introduction to Toy Story, I did not get a chance to watch it in theaters when it first came out. I watched it on VHS tape. On a little 32-inch CRT television.
Yep.
So, not exactly mind-blowing, but it was the big TV in the house. I also got a chance to watch it again on a bus on the way to Houston to go to NASA with the 5th grade class for a field trip.
Ah.
And someone had brought their VHS of that, and we watched that on there. As a kid, believe it or not, that was more interesting for me and I was glad I was not on the bus that was showing all John Wayne films. Keep in mind, I was 10. And I didn't know any better.
Right.
But, that was the detention bus, by the way.
Oh, wow.
That was the one the principal rode on. And if you got in trouble, that's the bus you got to ride on.
Ouch.
And honestly, now that I have a better opinion of John Wayne films, that's not that bad a thing. But anyway, so I watched it there, and then after that second viewing... I probably didn't watch Toy Story for another 10 years.
No.
Not because I didn't like the movie. It's just because I was at that weird age where I felt that I was too grown up to watch cartoons.
Yeah.
I had not realized there is no age limit to cartoons yet.
No, there's not.
But in my mind, I need to be more grown up. I'll watch more live action things such as Power Rangers. That's better, right?
Right. Overtime.
The strange mind of a 5th grader.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we were all strange in 5th grade.
Yes. So, while I would end up watching the other Pixar ones as they came out, and I think all the next 3 Pixar movies that came out, I actually did get to see all of them in theaters.
Oh, okay.
This was the only one from that early time that I did not watch in theaters, just because it didn't work out that way.
Okay.
But I remember enjoying it. I remember being blown away by what I was seeing because, holy crap, they're 3D. That was a big thing back then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I do remember they brought it into 3D at one point, didn't they?
Yeah.
They did.
That was my third viewing, was the 3D double feature with that and Toy Story 2.
Wow.
The first time I'd ever done a double feature happened to be showing at AMC, or what's now at the AMC in Tyler.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I had that much free time during the day.
Hey, I'm going to make time to watch this movie.
It had to have been on a Saturday, and it had to have been when my parents were on vacation somewhere and I was home. That's the only way I can come up with how I had time to go do this.
Right.
But maybe this was after. Let's see. I don't remember when that came out in 3D, but it was probably while I was working for Wally initially. But that was the third time I saw it, and I remember thinking, this is better than I remember it being.
Okay.
At that time. And then I didn't watch it for another couple of years. Once again, not because it's a bad movie, just because it didn't come up again.
Yeah.
And I don't have this yearly watching thing that you've got. I like variety.
Right.
But I I did see Toy Story 2 when it came out. I did see Toy Story 3 when it came out. And this last year, I saw Toy Story 4 when it came out.
Yeah. Go back and listen to our reaction view of that.
But I skipped. We didn't do a reaction.
I thought we did.
I brought it up in what I was watching, but that was before we came up with the reaction concept.
That's right. Never mind.
Yes. Which we started with The Lion King. Live action.
Yeah, live action.
Yeah. But it's not, Toy Story is not something I have nostalgia for. Is what I'm trying to get at.
Oh, okay.
I have nostalgia for many of the toys and many of the actors who I have seen in other things.
True.
But for this story, I remember it, but I don't remember it. You know what I mean? It's not a story etched in my mind.
Yeah.
But I still enjoy the movie. If for some reason you've made it to 2020 and you're at least 10 years old and you've not watched Toy Story, go watch Toy Story. It is a good movie. Be aware that this was early CG. There are things that we would not let stand in modern movies that are in this movie.
Yes.
Because of the time period it came out.
Yeah.
So
there again, we have to put it in context.
You have to put it in context.
Of the
it
year
is a 1995 computer-generated movie.
Yes.
And you have to remember, one of the reasons they chose Toy Story as their first one was because 3D graphics look like plastic models. So why don't we have characters who are actually plastic?
True.
Well, mostly plastic.
Mostly. Yeah.
There is still Andy and Sid.
Yeah.
And Hannah.
Mm-hmm. And the dog.
Scud.
And Scud.
More on Scud in a minute. But yeah, that's my thoughts on. That's really my spoiler-free thoughts. It's like if you want to know whether or not you need to watch this movie, and you are an animation nerd like we are, or wanting to be an animation nerd, go watch this movie.
Yeah, it's a classic. It's a titan of animation.
Yes,
nostalgia.
This is one of those milestone points in movie history. This movie is not for no other reason other than it was the first computer-generated feature-length film. It is just as important as Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, a movie I hate.
I would not disagree with you on that. Now, granted,
but it's also a product of its time. Both of those are.
That is so true.
So that's why I still suggest watching it and go into it with an open mind. Be aware of the limitations of the art form at this time.
Yes.
It is still a good movie.
Yeah. So for the clarification, saying that, oh my gosh, I'd be like, whenever we go in and do Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, we're going to bash it.
We're not going to bash it.
No, we're not going to bash it.
Like all we do for all movies, we will find 3 likes and 3 dislikes. We'll do our best to find both those.
Yes.
And we will be as objective as possible. Now, I will say it has been a long time since I've watched Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Right.
And I remember not liking it then.
Yeah, so just be like, yes, the movie, be like, it's a fantastic achievement in animation. And it's a gem when it comes to animation in general. It won so many Academy Awards. I mean, funny.
Much like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah. So that's what I was referring to.
Yes.
So
it won 1 big Oscar and 6 and 7 little Oscars.
It did. It did.
It's the only time they ever did that.
Go if you want to know more about that, be like,
go look that up. That's interesting.
Go look it up. It's very interesting. It's Walt Disney holding that and like several others. But yes, we will eventually get around to watching this classic eventually.
Yes.
So yeah, that is our spoiler-free section
of our review of this movie. So if for some reason you do want to be spoiled, or for some reason you haven't watched this movie and you're fine with being spoiled, or you've seen the movie and want to hear our thoughts on it, join us on the other side of our intermission to find out our spoiler-filled thoughts on this movie. Cartoons, the animated frontier. These are the voyages of the Cellcast podcast. Its continuing mission to explore strange new cartoons, to seek out new animation styles, and new creative storytelling methods to boldly go where so few ever go again. And now, starting this August, a new venture from the Cellcast podcast, the Cellcast, the animated series. Throughout the month of August, Jacob and Drew will review the animated series Star Trek Lower Decks as it releases on CBS All Access. Join us, because resistance is futile. The Cellcast, the animated series. Every Tuesday on your favorite podcast catcher. New show, same RSS feed. The following is a spoiler-filled review for the movie Toy Story. Listener discretion is advised. Toy Story was written and directed by John Lasseter, who also wrote and directed A Bug's Life and Cars. It was also written by Pete Docter, who wrote Up, Inside Out, and Monsters Incorporated, Andrew Stanton, who did Wall-E and Finding Nemo, John Ranft, who did Oliver and Company, The Lion King, and Beauty and the Beast. The screenplay was written by Joss Whedon, who also wrote and directed Marvel's The Avengers, Dr. Horrible Sing-Along Blog, and created Firefly. Andrew Stanton, who did Finding Dory and John Carter. And Joel Cohen and Alec Sokolow, who did, and I'm not kidding here, Garfield, A Tale of Two Kitties, and Evan Almighty.
Wow.
Those are the weird ones in this group.
Okay.
Music was done by Randy Newman, who, along with being a very popular musician, also wrote the music to James and the Giant Peach, Monsters Incorporated, Seabiscuit, and he wrote the theme song to the television series Monk.
Oh, okay.
And for those of you who are aware of the Raw Quiz Show, you might want to note that this movie was also produced by, or partially produced by Steve Jobs of Apple.
That's right. Yeah, because
He owned part of the company at this point.
Yeah, that's right. So that makes things a little more interesting.
So for those of you, so if any of the contestants, I just gave you the answer to my question this week.
Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Yes. Cast includes Tom Hanks as Woody Pride. He also played
Sheriff Woody Pride.
Sheriff Woody Pride, yes. He also played Captain Miller in Saving Private Ryan, Forrest Gump in Forrest Gump, and Chuck Noland in Castaway.
Yeah, and a slew of other amazing roles.
Right, but those are the big ones I saw, and actually I love all those movies.
I do want to mention, I did forget one thing I did watch. The Circle, which has Tom Hanks in it.
Ah, cool.
Go ahead.
All right. Tim Allen plays Buzz Lightyear. He is most famous for playing Tim the Toolman Taylor on Home Improvement. He also played the character of Jason Nesmith, the actor who played Peter Quincy Taggart in Galaxy Quest. And he also played the character Scott Calvin in The Santa Claus.
Yes. Amazing movies. Well, 1 and 2 are good. The third was meh.
Yeah, I would agree with that, actually. Don Rickles plays Mr. Potato Head. In the movie Kelly's Heroes, he played a character by the name of Crap Game.
Okay.
And in the movie Casino, he played Billy Sherbert.
Oh, okay.
I don't know any of these roles. I'm sorry. I looked through. I knew the name Don Rickles, but for whatever reason, when I looked through his IMDb, I did not recognize a thing besides Toy Story, which is so sad for me, anyway. Jim Varney plays Slinky Dog. He is most well known for playing Ernest P. Worrell in the Ernest movies and the commercials that preceded them. Because he actually played that character for a bunch of commercials for, like, Dr. Pepper, I think, and Mountain Dew, and a bunch of these other ones.
Yeah, that's right.
That's where he created the character from that those movies are based on.
Didn't know that. Honestly, I thought the
That's where
Ernest character
that's where
like
both
came from the movies, and he just spun off.
No,
the
no, the commercials came first, but and the characters of Ernest and Vern
really
came from that because Vern was the camera during those commercials.
Okay,
but that's what he is most known for.
Fascinating.
He also would go on to play the character of Cookie in Atlantis: The Lost Empire.
That's a really good movie.
Mm-hmm. Wallace Shawn plays Rex.
Mm-hmm.
He played Gilbert Huff in The Incredibles. He played Vicini in The Princess Bride. And for all my other Trekkies out there, he played Grand Nagus Zek of the Ferengi Alliance in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And I am counting him as the first Kingdom Hearts reference for this movie because only him and the next person on here, John Ratzenberger, are the only one of the actors who went on to be in are the only two voice actors in Kingdom Hearts 3 from Toy Story.
That's right.
Everyone else was somebody else.
Okay, so a very interesting fact about Rex. Speaking of Rex, I learned this just recently from the YouTube channel called Toy Galaxy by, I'm forgetting his name real fast, but Dan Larson. Dan Larson, he's a toy collector. And so he was doing a episode on Dino Riders. The series came out in the mid-'80s. And so apparently, if you remember watching the movie, Rex does make a mention that'd be like, oh yeah, I'm originally from Hasbro, but my model's Mattel. He was made by Mattel, but he's actually based off a Tonka toy.
Something like that, yeah.
The Tonka toy.
Well, no, he said he's from Mattel, but actually he was from a small Taiwanese company that got bought out by Mattel.
Yeah. Hint Tonka.
Yeah.
And the actual design of Rex is based after the T-Rex from Dino Riders.
Huh, cool.
So if you're interested in Dino Riders, go check it out. It's actually a really, really good show. It only had one season. It was probably, I think it was like 13 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely a 80s show. So go check it out.
All right. So as I mentioned earlier, John Ratzenberger is here as Ham. He is most well known for playing Cliff Clavin in the television series Cheers.
Yes, Cheers.
And he has also been in every single Pixar movie that has been released since Toy Story, as he is considered Pixar's Lucky Charm.
That is true.
Which means the first movie made after his death will tank. I'm sorry, it's just the first thought that comes in my mind.
Go to morbid, man, come on.
But also, he did reprise his role as Ham in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yes.
Annie Potts plays Bo Peep. She is probably most well known for playing Janine Melnitz in Ghostbusters.
Bam! I didn't realize that. Oh my gosh.
She also played Syrinx the Muse in Hercules.
I do remember that. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Wow. But my animation mind is blown.
Yeah. John Morris played Andy. And his reprisal of the role of Andy all the way up to Toy Story 4 and any of the other appearances where Andy has shown up make up the entirety of his IMDb page. This Andy is the only thing he's ever done.
Wow.
But the fact that they got him for all the Toy Story movies, even after he aged with the character, essentially, which is kind of a cool thing. Because that's the kind of character you half expect to be voiced by different people as it goes on, but he's not. But this is also the only thing he ever did. Eric Van Detten plays Sid. He played the character of Flint in Tarzan, and the character of Lawson in the television series Recess. And much like his character here, Sid, Lawson was the bully on that show. So,
a recurring theme
in his roles. I don't remember who Flint is in Tarzan, but I've only seen Tarzan one time.
Yeah.
But anyway, Laurie Metcalf plays Andy's mom, Mrs. Davis.
Okay.
So apparently Andy's last name is Davis. She played Debbie Salt in Scream 2.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
R. Lee Ermey plays Sergeant. Mm-hmm. He is most well known probably for playing Gunnery Sergeant Gartman in Full Metal Jacket.
Mm-hmm.
But I mostly know him from his History Channel show he had back in the early 2000s called Mail Call.
Uh-huh. I enjoyed that.
Mail Call was a great show.
Yeah, back when History Channel was actually a History Channel.
Yes. Before it was all aliens and pawn shops.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's all it is now.
Yeah. Well, apparently they're no longer pawn shops because someone,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we know. Sarah Freeman plays Hannah, Andy's younger sister.
Yeah.
She would go on to play, or I don't know exactly where this times out, but she played the character of young Kaylee in Quest for Camelot, and that's pretty much her entire thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That wasn't a really good film. It had some really good songs that got turned into some really good pop songs.
Yes, but if this is the one I'm thinking of, it's not that good.
Oh, that's what I'm referring to. The movie was not that good.
yeah.
I remember seeing the previews for this thing.
This is the
and
one
I was
with
like, oh, this sounds like a really good movie. So I finally watched it.
This is the
This
one
was
with the
not a good
two-headed.
movie.
This is the one with the two-headed dragon,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
We will have to review this movie at some
Just
point.
to get it out of our
Yes.
system. Last and most certainly not least, Penn Jillette of Penn and Teller was the TV announcer for the Buzz Lightyear commercial.
That makes sense now.
Yeah. It sounds like him.
It does sound like him.
All right, so that is the cast and crew. What do we got in box office and info and stuff?
All right. So let me get this stuff. All right. So on IMDb, it has a score of 8.3 out of 10, which is really good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. On Rotten Tomatoes, there's a 100% score.
Right.
And out of its audience score is 92%.
I'm surprised it
Yeah.
dips that much.
Yeah. Because you think the fans would be like amazed about it. The fans, the critics would be more like,
Well,
"Eh."
I have a theory.
Okay.
Most likely, the critic reviews are primarily from when the movie came out,
Right.
or a couple of people who have nostalgia glasses on while they're watching it,
Mm-hmm.
writing reviews on it. Whereas a large portion of maybe the audience score
Yeah.
are people who aren't watching the movie in the context it deserves to be watched in.
True.
That's my theory. I have no idea.
Okay. So, obviously, it was produced by, and I'll see if I can get this right the first time, Walt Disney Pictures
Mm-hmm.
and Pixar Animation Studios. It's distributed by Buena Vista Pictures Distribution. Thank you. I'm getting tongue-tied here.
That's a hard word.
Yes, it is our words. I'm not. All right. So, it was released originally on November 19th, 1995.
So I
On
must
the El Capitan Theater.
I must have saw it in '96 then,
Oh, okay.
because I saw it on home video first time.
Ah, okay. So it was released officially in the United States on November 22nd, 1995. So, going to box office and budget. So, its estimated budget was $30 million. All right, so its opening weekend, wow. $29.1 million.
None of that surprises me.
No, I'm not. It'd be like that's not surprising. Be like, okay, we're this short. I'm not surprised people. Oh, it bombed because it was this close to making its budget. Had to fail.
But at the same time, do you realize how expensive this movie was to make in 1995?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
That is still amazing, all things considered.
Yes, and
There is a reason Disney went on to allow them to do A Bug's Life.
Yeah, and it'd be like, this is just the opening weekend. So
Yes.
we go into the U.S. gross, which was $222.4 million, and then we get into the worldwide gross.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the accumulation of $404.2 million.
Yeah, this movie made all of its money.
Oh,
back.
it made so much cheddar, be like you're swimming in it.
There's a reason why Ratatouille came many years after this. It was following the cheese.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a bad joke. I am so sorry, people.
At least it was one of the Swifts.
So, going into the summary of this movie, In a world where toys are living things, but pretend to be lifeless when humans are present, a group of toys owned by a boy named Andy Davis are caught off guard when Andy's birthday party is moved up a week, as his family, including his mother and infant sister Molly, are preparing to move the following week. And that is as far as I'm taking that voice.
Wow, okay, movie voice guy. That was really good.
I can't keep a straight face anymore. Andy's toys, including Bo Peep the Shepherdess, Mr. Potato Head, Rex the Dinosaur, Ham the Piggy Bank, and Slinky Dog, fear that they will be replaced by new toys from the birthday. Sheriff Woody, the toys' leader and Andy's favorite toy, sends out army men led by Sergeant to spy on the party and report the gift results to the others via, well, this says walkie-talkies, but let's face it, baby monitors.
Yeah, baby monitors.
The toys
Pretty
are
much.
relieved when the party appears to end with none of them being replaced by new toys. But then Andy receives a surprise gift, a Buzz Lightyear action figure who thinks that he is a real space ranger. Buzz impresses the other toys with his various features, and Andy begins to favor him, making Woody feel outcast compared to the newer, sleeker, more advanced Buzz. As Andy prepares for a family outing at a restaurant called Pizza Planet, the first time that ever showed up in a Pixar movie, his mother allows him to bring one toy. Fearing that Andy will choose Buzz, Woody attempts to trap him behind a desk, but ends up accidentally knocking him out a window. The other toys, except Bo Peep and Slinky, rebel against Woody, condemning him for stranding Buzz out of jealousy. Before they can exact revenge, Andy takes Woody and leaves for Pizza Planet. When the family stops for gas at a Dinoco gas station, another Pixar staple, Woody finds that Buzz has hitched a ride on their minivan. A fight breaks out, which causes the two to fall out of the minivan, and the family leaves without them. They manage to make their way to the restaurant by stowing away on a Pizza Planet delivery truck. Buzz, still thinking that he is a real space ranger, despite Woody's attempts to convince him otherwise, gets them stuck in a crane game full of alien toys, where they are salvaged by Andy's toy-abusing neighbor, Sid Phillips. While Woody attempts to escape from Sid's house, Buzz, finally realizing that he is a toy after watching a Buzz Lightyear action figure TV ad and trying but failing to fly out a window, sinks into depression. Sid plans to launch Buzz on a fireworks rocket, but his plans are delayed by a thunderstorm. Woody tells Buzz about the joy he can bring to Andy as a toy, restoring his confidence. The next morning, Woody and Sid's mutant creature toys rescue Buzz just as Sid is about to launch the rocket and scare Sid into no longer abusing toys. Woody and Buzz leave just as Andy and his family drive away toward their new home. The duo try to make it to the moving truck, but Sid's dog, Scud, sees them and gives chase. Buzz ends up stranded while saving Woody from Scud, and Woody tries rescuing him with RC, a radio-controlled car. Thinking that Woody is trying to get rid of RC as well, the other toys toss him off the truck. Having evaded Scud, Buzz and RC retrieve Woody as they continue to go after the truck. Upon seeing Woody and Buzz together on RC, the other toys realize their mistake and try to help them get back aboard, but RC's batteries become depleted, stranding them. Buzz realizes that Sid's rocket is still strapped to his back, and they ignite it, hurtling them towards the truck. Woody manages to throw RC back into the truck before they soar into the air, and Buzz opens his wings to free himself from the rocket before it explodes. Gliding with Woody to land safely into a box in the van right next to Andy, who thinks they're in the car all along. Later, on Christmas Day, at their new house, Woody and Buzz stage another reconnaissance mission to prepare for the new toy arrivals. One of the toys is Mrs. Potato Head, much to Mr. Potato Head's delight. As Woody jokingly asks what could be worse than Buzz, they discover Andy's new gift is a puppy, and the two share a worried smile.
Oh boy, a puppy! What?
That is probably the best part of this movie.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you. That was.
Which sounds bad, but it's not.
No.
My first like on this. This is the first computer animated feature-length film.
True.
We have to touch on that first before we get out. I mean, we've already touched on it so much already.
Yeah.
But you got to realize this was one of the toughest movies I think Pixar ever made.
Yeah.
Not because of complexity of story,
right.
but it was their first movie, period.
Yeah.
B, it was the first time computer animation had been done. And C, do you know how long render times took back then?
Oh, yeah.
Days
and
per
weeks.
frame. This movie took 5 years to make.
Uh-huh.
That's the amazing part of this. It is a wonder this movie got made in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting note, the computers that this movie was made on were made by Silicon Graphics, who would go on to help Nintendo create the Nintendo 64.
Really?
And it is Silicon Graphics who made the 3D models that were digitized into the sprites for Donkey Kong Country.
Mario.
So yeah, I know some more video game trivia.
Yes.
Who's surprised there? Yeah, nobody.
Nobody.
This movie is amazing for the time it came out.
Oh, yeah,
Everything they went through. It doesn't have the more interesting story that will definitely come up when we review Toy Story 2.
Yeah, that's a whole other
That's an interesting one.
can of digibytes.
Look up what happened during the making of Toy Story 2 to their server.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that when we get to it. Another shout out to our other show.
Yeah.
But I'm to this day I'm still amazed this movie got made. This is also a strange one for a Disney partial production from this time, as it's not actually a musical. There are 4 songs that do play throughout the movie,
Right.
but I don't really consider 4 songs that happen to have scenes set to them a musical.
Yeah. And plus the thing, like, this is in the middle of the Renaissance era.
Yeah. This is when you had Lion King, Pocahontas, Beauty and the Beast, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. What else came around this time that I'm forgetting? This is pre-Tarzan.
Yeah, pre-Tarzan.
Tarzan was, I think, 99.
Yeah, that would have been Mulan? Mulan would have been
Mulan would have been around this time.
Yeah, because this would have been between Lion King, which was 1994, I think.
Yeah.
94.
And then Mulan was 97.
Yeah, I know there's a movie in between there. I just can't remember it. It's bad that we can't think of the exact timeline.
Well, we're animation nerds, not Disney nerds. That's the difference. Well, okay, true. You are more of one than I am.
Yeah, well, I know, quote unquote, there's someone in the chat who's a bigger Disney nerd than I am.
Well, there you go.
Heather.
Yeah, what movie are we forgetting, Heather?
Yeah, give us help, Heather.
I'm just going to Google this right quick while we're still talking.
Yes.
If it'll go. That's really weird that it considers James and the Giant Peach a Disney movie.
Yeah, Mulan, according
and
to Heather.
technically Anastasia now is too.
Wow. Okay, yes, I agree with you, yes. Heather,
but that's not the ones I'm looking for.
Yeah, Heather said Mulan was 1998.
Right. So
we're getting in the ballpark.
Getting in the ballpark, yes. This would have been between I forgot there was another live action Jungle Book movie that Disney produced. I forgot about this.
Okay.
But the animated one directly before this was Lion King, and the animated one directly after this was Pocahontas.
Okay.
And then immediately after that, a Goofy movie.
Okay. Got it.
Like the same year. And then Hunchback was 96.
Okay.
That gives you an idea as to where all that's at.
Yeah, so it's slap dab in the middle of
dab in the middle of the big part of the Renaissance.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, what I would consider the peak. Not because it's better or worse than any of the others, but this is the point where I think Disney could not do any better than this. Not because I think this movie's better than the others, but because of how tough and how amazing and how historically important this movie is.
Yeah, agreed.
This movie, as much as I love Lion King, which I do love it, I think more than pretty much every other movie I listed right there, except for a Goofy movie, because I love a Goofy movie too. This is the most historically important movie that came out from Disney at this time.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. All right, so my number one would be, it would definitely be the collision between Buzz and Woody.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you have Woody be like he's the Andy's favorite toy, and now Andy's new favorite toy, Buzz, has come into the picture. You have this conflict of interest.
Yes.
And it's that amazing point where be like the road trip they go on to and the bonding they get into, the fact that would it be like Buzz thinks doesn't think he's a toy, and it's I'll get into that later, but
yeah,
it's that bonding. It's a road trip for these two. It's a road trip movie in a lot of ways of these two characters coming together with Woody's complete animosity and hatred towards Buzz. To the very end, they're like brothers, like brothers thick and thin. Throughout, it's that amazing journey of becoming unified in their owner's love for both of them.
Yes. Do you know the original story idea they were going to do for this movie that nearly got them into trouble? Nearly destroyed the movie before it even came out.
It's been a while since I've seen those parts.
Woody was a much darker character.
That's right.
Actually, where in this case he was just trying to trap Buzz behind the desk.
Yeah.
In the original one, he was trying to kill Buzz.
Yeah, that's right.
He was, in that version, he was a ventriloquist dummy.
That's right. Yeah.
In that version, and it was so important for him to be Andy's favorite toy that he became the movie's villain.
That's
right. He
right.
actually was the movie's villain.
Yeah, that's right.
In the original version.
That's right. Yeah.
But the fact that they looked at it, realized this was not working, and shifted Woody from being really the antagonist of the story to being the dual protagonist with Buzz.
Yeah,
I think was the smartest move they ever could make.
Yeah, that's
with this movie.
Yeah, it's very similar to when they were developing Frozen.
Yeah,
because originally Elsa was supposed to be the villain.
She's the villain in the book.
Yeah,
well, it's not the character's name wasn't Elsa, but she was the Snow Queen, and the Snow Queen was the villain in the book.
Yeah, because like if you go back and go watch the documentary of the making of Frozen, go watch that. It's a really good documentary. Ever since you don't get it on the Blu-ray, which is why.
Yeah, I'm not happy with the Blu-ray on this movie.
Yeah, but yeah, oh my word, because they originally had Elsa be like she became evil and then just went full on villain.
Yeah,
and then just
like we said in that review, that Let It Go was her villain song.
Yes, it was.
Even though it's not a villain, it is a villain song, but she's not a villain. So
no, she's not.
But back to Toy Story.
Yeah, back to Toy Story. Be like it's in that same linear idea that you have one of your main characters who started off more as a villain that became a good character, became like.
But I mean, honestly, as a character, it makes sense that someone who has had such a place of importance, realizing there may be someone almost more important than he is.
Exactly.
And how he deals with the jealousy of that. That's a very believable issue that I think we all understand. As before, he was just an evil guy.
Yeah.
But making him like he still does the thing that gets him into trouble. That's 9/10 of how the story works.
Yeah, that's how your plot goes.
But the intention behind it, I mean, you can tell when it first happens, when it goes far more his way than he intended it to go. You can almost see like, well, that worked out better than I expected, but I don't want him gone.
Yeah. I just want him out of the way.
I want him to be hidden in the closet and Andy to kind of sort of forget about him, but still be a valued member of the thing. Because right now he's just annoyed.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
All right, very cool. So a really quick plug. If you want to go hear our review, this is our first episode we did.
Yes.
Go listen to our first episode.
Way back in episode 1.
Yeah, go listen to our Frozen review and go check it out. And so that's a plug for our first episode.
Yes. The episode that doesn't need a plug because it's one of our most downloaded. Surprise, surprise.
We could get more downloads.
I am never against more downloads.
All right, so what is your number 2?
My number 2. When I was first thinking through this movie before I watched it, I had a feeling that one of my dislikes was going to be how quickly Buzz turns around.
Yeah.
But in watching this movie, I realized it is not a quick turnaround.
No, it's not.
He, really from, I think, his quote-unquote flight, I think he's starting to realize there's more to this toy thing that I'm giving credence to, even though that's not what I think. Because why on earth otherwise would he freeze when Andy walks in the room?
Yeah.
If he's a space ranger, then the only other reason I can think of would be maybe he's trying to camouflage himself or something. But the fact that he freezes almost instinctually,
Yeah.
and the fact that he has almost no control over it, like everybody else does have, makes me think, okay, yeah, he's thinking maybe he's a toy, and he's actually fighting this idea because there's no way he thinks that can be correct.
Yeah.
He's fighting that throughout the whole movie, and he sees so much evidence prior to the Buzz Lightyear commercial that it's planted that seed and watered that seed in his mind that maybe he's not who he thinks he is throughout the entire movie. And the minute he sees that Buzz Lightyear commercial, you can see it drop. You can see his belief in himself just drop like a stone when he realizes he really knows so little about who he really is.
Yeah.
And that's why when he goes and looks out that window after he saw the words "not a flying toy," he has to try, because if there's any chance that he really is who he thinks he is, he should be able to fly right out that window.
Yeah.
And he can't. And that's why he goes into such a funk.
Oh, yeah.
But after that. And when Andy finally gives him that pep talk.
Yeah, Buzz.
Yeah, but when Woody gives Buzz that pep talk about why being a toy is so much better than just being a lousy old space ranger.
Yeah.
It gives him purpose again. And that's why he makes that turnaround. It's like, I actually kind of enjoyed that bit with Hannah and as Mrs. Nesbit with Marie Antoinette and her sister. That's a funny joke.
It is.
It's a very funny joke.
Is.
I didn't get it until when I first watched it, but it's a very funny joke.
Right.
And then he remembers that time Andy spent playing with him.
Yeah.
And how he enjoyed that. So he realizes, maybe I'm not who I was, but maybe this is what I'm supposed to be. And the only way I'm going to get back to that life I want is to help Woody.
Yeah.
And by pushing the Benford Tools tool chest off of the milk lug, which that was something I caught when I first watched this movie in 95 or 96. And it actually made me think, wait a minute, is Benford Tools a real tool company?
It's like, no.
I mean, we've mentioned all these other real companies in this movie. Maybe this is another one. I don't know. For all I know, Al's Toy Barn really exists somewhere, too.
Well, also, Benford Tools is from Tool Time.
I know.
Yeah.
I know I know why it's there. It is a callback to Home Improvement.
Yes.
It's the entire reason it's there.
Yes.
At the same time, as a child, I'm telling you, I thought, wait, because I did not recognize that was Tim Allen.
Yeah.
So I didn't get why that was an Easter egg.
That makes sense.
I was sitting there going, wait, Benford Tools, that's from Home Improvement. Is that I always assumed that was fictional. I never considered that was a real tool company that helped produce this show.
Yeah.
I'm just old enough to understand that shows get partially produced by companies trying to promote themselves.
Yes.
But apparently, it never occurred to me that there was actually a fake company and that was just an Easter egg that I wasn't supposed to read too much into. Yeah.
Oh.
Also, I love that Easter egg.
Yes, that was a good Easter egg.
But that whole bit, just to get back to my point, the fact that Buzz's entire journey from Space Ranger to action figure, as abrupt as it seems from the outset when he finally gives in and is gung-ho for it, I love how it's actually presented very subtly throughout the entire movie.
Agreed.
That is one of the best things. And that's the thing. When you see stuff like that, it does make you wonder, are we sure that most of these people had never made a movie before?
Yeah.
I'm guessing that was a Joss Whedon fix.
Yeah, you would think.
That has to be a Joss Whedon thing.
Yeah. Oh gosh. So my number 2 is exactly yours. It's what I would call Buzz's delusion. Mm-hmm. That he comes in, he's a space ranger. There's nothing else. He's not a toy. He's a space ranger, and that's what he does. And everything sets up to where he goes off the what is that? The
Rails?
Goes off the rails. Be like everything happens where it's like, oh, I flew when he didn't fly, or he got caught in the fan or something like that.
Yes.
All these great it's great setup for, it's like, oh, this is a cool setup, but then it's almost Buzz's, giving him into this idea that, oh, I am a space ranger.
Yeah.
And then you get this earth-shattering come down to earth moment where he's in Sid's house and sees the commercial. Mm-hmm. And he's being told over and over and over and over again that be like, you are a toy.
Yes.
And
he has a little stamp on his little door that says "Made in Taiwan."
Yeah, made in Taiwan. And be like, it's that great psychological break of a character, and it's so perfect to where be like he starts seeing all these different things and start adding things up, into where he goes down to basically a depression, and starts like he's got his broken arm, he's whacking his own head with it, and that reminds me of another Disney movie called Bolt. And I
know you love that movie.
Bolt is a great movie, not just because it has a dog in it.
That helps.
That does help. Yeah, John Travolta as a dog. Bolt is good.
I know you love that movie far more than I do.
So we will eventually get around to doing a review.
That'll be an interesting one, actually.
And so the parallel of Bolt is a super dog, and he's not supposed to know he's a TV dog. Mm-hmm. And so he is under the illusion, just like Buzz, that, oh, I'm actually a space ranger, or I'm actually a super dog. And so there's all these great setups to where Bolt thinks he's a super dog until he
thinks his human is getting
kidnapped.
He goes to try and save her. All of a sudden, he can't do his super bark
because
he never could do his super bark.
And it'd be like the disillusion of be like, oh, it's these pink fluffy things are packing peanuts, and he's so delusioned by that until he finally starts to see that Mittens brings him into reality, and it's the exact same thing until he has to say Penny in the very end. That be like, oh, be like she never loved me, they replaced me, and be like my life is meaningless until he hears Penny. Spoiler alert for Bolt. If you haven't seen it, great movie. Go watch it. We will do a review over that at some point. And apparently we will have different opinions on this film.
I didn't say I hated it. I'm just saying you love it more than I do.
Yeah, exactly. We have different opinions, which is great. It's always great to have a different point of view on everything. But I love that parallel. I love the parallel of the how broken a character can be, and then how much be like where that character goes from there. And like you have the with Buzz and the fact that he starts to come around the idea that be like maybe it's better to be a toy than a Space Ranger, and then we get a better follow up with that with Toy Story 2.
Yes,
and I love that idea of this the character's growth into something that he thought he was, and the realization to who he becomes ultimately. He becomes a better character, and he becomes more of a fuller character. And it's such a good character development for his character, and I love that about that part of the movie. What is your number 3?
My number 3 for this movie, all of the toy cameos. Do you realize, as a little bit of fun, that there's a troll doll in this movie?
Yes, there is.
That is now owned legally by DreamWorks Animation.
I didn't realize
that.
The
Trolls property now is legally owned completely by DreamWorks.
Oh, wow.
This predates DreamWorks, of course, existing.
Yes.
Or in DreamWorks Animation existing. by a long shot.
Yeah, by a couple of years.
I think there's a couple movies that came out maybe around this time, but
yeah,
DreamWorks was nowhere near the juggernaut it is now.
that was when
but
Prince
and
of
it
Egypt came
and
out.
it is the original design of the troll doll that was popular at the time. But that's interestingly enough in this movie.
Yeah.
The fact that you've got both Mousetrap and there was another game that's literally they took the artwork from the box and put it on a model. It's that accurate.
Wow. Okay.
You of course got Mr. Potato Head, which this was the first time I noticed you actually see the fake potato texture on his skin.
Wow. Okay.
They were that detailed with
Yes.
this. Now, admittedly, at this time, that was probably a 2D graphic on a 3D model to make it look like a texture of the potato. Not the actual, it's not modeled that way, probably, because this is long before they had that much memory
Right.
to work with.
True.
Heck, that's long before the U.S. government probably had that much computer memory to work with.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm just guessing on
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But the fact that they went to the trouble of licensing real toys
Yeah.
for this, using what looks like extremely accurate models to those toys,
Yeah.
as best as they could, and then were able to make enough fictional ones for the places where they need fictional characters, fictional toys, to make it actually feel like all of them are real.
Oh yeah.
All of them feel like they're real. And now, admittedly, all of them now are real
That is true.
because Disney very smartly made toy versions of the Toy Story character, all the Toy Story
yeah.
characters
Oh yeah.
at this point.
And now those are very, very common.
Yes.
Very common toys for every kid to have.
Right. And I don't know if Slinky Dog actually existed prior to this movie, or at least not Slinky Dog the way we see him in this movie.
I think
there was a Slinky Animal thing back in the 60s.
there was.
I think.
Yeah.
But none of them looked like Slinky Dog.
No, there
was a dog, but it wasn't Slinky Dog.
No, it wasn't our Slinky Dog.
It wasn't our Slinky Dog. But the fact that they made it look like it could be. The fact that you've got what looks like extremely accurate Etch-a-Sketch.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I mean extremely accurate Etch-a-Sketch.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like they took somehow a 3D scanner and scanned this whole thing in there to make it look exactly like an actual Etch-a-Sketch. The fact that you've got Barrel of Monkeys, the most worthless toy that was ever created, they've got that in here.
Yeah.
You've got, not only do you have the plastic green army men,
Yeah.
you can see the sprues from the mold machine.
That is true, you can.
When we did our review of the Lego Movie, I
Yeah.
talked about how they went to so much trouble to actually make it feel like it was actual Legos that were done in stop motion.
Yeah.
They would not have done that, I think, if Toy Story did not pay this much
Agreed.
attention
Agreed.
to what should have been a very simple model. But they go in and make sure, oh yeah, the real toy has the little bits of plastic from where it was connected into the mold machine, in the mold machine. We're going to put that here too.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be as accurate as 1995 technology will allow us to be.
Yeah.
That in and of itself, that level of accuracy and attention to detail
Yeah.
is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. Also the fact that, like, during production, because they wanted to bring Barbie into the movie,
Right.
Mattel wouldn't let them.
Not till it was a successful movie franchise.
Exactly. They were jumping head
And
over
so
heels and be
it's
like,
like,
oh my gosh,
okay.
yes, use.
Here's all of the Barbies. Here's Ken.
Yeah.
Here's
Here's kid, take him.
here's Ken. We don't want him anymore. It's all yours. They had not. They,
Love
didn't-
Toy
that's
Story
like,
2.
They didn't just have Barbie and Ken. They had every version of Barbie. They had an entire wall of Barbie.
That is true.
Hitting on Buzz Lightyear. No, they weren't hitting on Buzz Lightyear, but I know a couple of them. They were right next to the Buzz Lightyears.
Yeah. Oh gosh, but
But,
either way,
Either way, the amount of detail in a movie that at a time when they did not have the time to create all this extra detail, the fact that they still did
Yes.
is what I highly, highly, highly appreciate. And that's one of the reasons I do love this movie, at least now looking back at it, because I recognize they didn't have to do 90% of what they did to make this movie work and work good enough. They were fastidious at making every single thing as accurate as possible, down to the logos on the toys being in the right position and being accurate to how they would have been created.
Right.
And I appreciate that.
Oh,
As a graphic designer, I much appreciate all the boxes being accurate.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, everything up to that is, I just appreciate. And that's not even getting into Pizza Planet with all the really cool movie references to Alien.
Yeah, that's right. Which is oddly now owned by Disney.
Strangely enough, but at the time it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
Well, at the time, technically, Pixar wasn't either.
No, they weren't. They were in association with.
Yes, it was a separate company that Disney was just had Pixar had signed like a 5-movie deal.
Yeah, it was a 5-movie deal, and they was distributing an arm.
Yes, that's all it was, until and Disney would actually own all the IP.
Yeah,
that was the original plan, and then in order to make Toy Story 2 happen the way Pixar wanted it to, Pixar allowed themselves to be bought out, but with all these writers on it, so they would remain their separate company.
Yeah, and that would be a very interesting story when we do Toy Story 2.
Yes. But what is your third like for this movie?
My third like would be the climax of this film. Not be like, oh, the revelation now that, Andy has a dog. But the fact of...
That's the conclusion, not the climax.
Yeah, that's the conclusion, not the climax. But where it is, they are trying to get back to the moving truck. Mm-hmm. And you just had the amazing encounter with Sid.
We toys can see everything.
That was the...
So play nice. Tom Hanks had a fun time in the recording studio on that one.
I can totally imagine. But the whole fact to be like, Buzz realized, be like, wait, you can't fly, but I can fly with style.
Buzz, you're flying. This isn't flying. This is falling with style.
And the whole
to like, infinity and beyond.
It was so well done. Like, I know they didn't have the...
Buzz, we're missing the truck. We're not going to the truck.
Just, I mean, it's an excellent scene. The lighting is so well done.
For the time, yes.
For the timing, yes, it's so great. The lighting, the backgrounds, the surface areas, everything. It gave it was so good for that time period.
Well, now, I have some opinions coming up in this.
Oh, of course,
on something.
Of course.
You know what that thing is?
Yes,
too.
I'm pretty sure I can. But
about 3 of those things, 3 or 4.
Yeah, 3 or 4. But either way, so that would be my number 3 is the climax of this film of how Buzz and Woody kind of come together and yeah. Oh me.
Sorry.
But yeah, the climax of this film is amazing. Mm-hmm. And it's probably one of the I don't want to say we'll have to do like a top 5, Pixar films.
Oh yes, at some point we will.
Now, great. I haven't seen all the Pixar films yet. We'll get around to that
eventually.
But yeah, that is my number 3.
So we need to move into our dislikes for this. I'm going to start off with probably the easiest fish in the barrel to shoot.
Okay.
This movie tried to do humans and dogs and creatures with muscles long before the technology really worked.
No, yeah, that's true.
Andy is creepy. Sid is creepy and not in a way he should be.
Even
and
creepier.
Then you have Scud. Scud is an abomination that should not exist.
Oh gosh! Now remind me which character is Scud.
That's the dog.
That's right.
That chases. That's Sid's dog.
That's right.
He looks horrible.
Yes, I agree with you.
Now, granted, I have no idea what breed they were going for, but I'm assuming it ain't a pretty one.
Because they get pretty in this thing.
Right, but oh my word, it's like, you can tell they couldn't do fur.
No.
Because they tried to slick that hair back on that dog as much as they could where it would look
gosh.
right, and it just doesn't.
Yeah, okay. Take the animation from 1 and then into 2. It's just be like, it's night and day.
It's a night and day.
It's night and day.
And admittedly, it's because the technology was still fresh at this point.
Yes.
There's a small, minuscule part of me that wishes that when they did the HD restoration of this movie for the 3D thing,
Yeah.
they had to go back and re-render everything.
Yeah.
For that second eye.
Yeah.
That's how Pixar did it.
Yeah.
There's a small part of me that when they did that, that kind of hoped and wished that maybe they would have fixed some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's the animation nerd who likes all the scars and blisters and that kind
Odd
of
facial
limitations,
features.
odd facial features. That like appreciates that they didn't do it, but at the same time, you're still looking, going, how many times did that dog get hit by the ugly stick?
Gosh.
Because good night. I mean, he must have just hit that tree and kept going. Because
I'm gonna get down someday. Bam. Knock
poor
down someday.
Scud.
Bam.
Poor Scud. He
poor
did
bud.
not get any favors.
No, he
in
did
this
not.
movie.
Poor dog. Poor boy.
That poor dog. Strangely enough, Hannah is probably the only character who I thought looked good of the humans.
That is true. That is
not
true.
Hannah. Not Hannah. That's the
That's the mom. That's
the younger sister.
Yes.
No, Hannah is Sid's sister.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't remember what Molly was Andy's sister. So
Yeah.
erase what I said earlier in the cast. Hannah was Sid's little sister.
Yeah.
She actually does look better than every other human in this movie.
That's true.
And I have no idea why that is. I guess it's just because she's not on screen as much.
That
and
is true.
she's never seen full screen. Her head is not full screen like Andy's is from time to time. Sid's definitely is from time to time.
Yeah.
Oh, my. But yeah, the fact that they did their best. Honestly, really, how do you do this without at least showing Sid?
Yeah.
And you can kind of do it without Andy, but then if you bring in Sid, you have to do Andy.
Yeah.
Just to give you the contrast between Woody and Buzz's real home versus this torture chamber. But yeah, that's my first dislike, is the fact that, man, they probably looked amazing when I first watched it, but they did not. Those humans and dog did not age well.
No. Yeah, if you really want to watch true animation horror, go to the deleted scenes or outtakes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, those are terrifying because you take one pixel out of alignment and things go nuts. It's like if you were to go and watch Tangled.
This is not as bad as the Monsters Incorporated ones because they had all that hair. On Sully.
Yeah.
Those are terrifying.
Yeah, the ones for Tangled.
Yeah.
Oh, those are because it's literally
it's amazing how it's hair. That's really the terrifying aspect of this.
All over the place.
It's not the eyes that just randomly roll back in the head of all these
Yes,
characters.
that's what happened in Toy Story.
It happens there. That's not the creepy part.
No.
The creepy part is when you've got hair going all the way around the place.
Yes.
Which is not a big problem in this, since most of the characters have plastic hair, but it is there.
Long, beautiful plastic hair. All right, so my first dislike is going to be exactly yours. Is the there's a lot of the animation does not hold up very well. Definitely when you speak of the humans, you pick characters, you speak of the poor Scud. Poor Scud. And then be like, you have the occasional, be like, obviously with the technology and the limitations they had in 1995, you are going to have some animation character problems with maybe how a character moves or Be like, I think it was one point like character literally doesn't move, just slides.
Yeah.
At one moment, if I remember correctly. It's just like, huh? And it's
Well,
like, okay, remembering be like context, this is 1985.
As long as it's a toy and it's one that makes sense that they just slide off screen, I can live with that.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was just like, oh, wow.
Like if it was the robot,
Yeah.
that I can see.
Yeah. But if I remember correctly, it was like one character, they kind of just slid. Just a little bit.
I missed that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, because I remember watching it at one point, and I was like, huh, what in the world? It's like, oh, yeah, this is right. This is
this is the
made
best
95.
they could do.
This is the best they could do.
They had
Yeah.
probably someone had probably tried night and day to get this character to walk off, and finally said, "Screw it."
Yeah, let's forget it.
This
Just have him
guy's in the
slide
background.
off.
No one's gonna see.
Well, at least it's not like what was it? What is it? Oh, come on. We did the review over it just recently.
Oliver and Company.
Oliver and Company.
That's the one that had so many animations.
Oh yeah, so many anime pro where the Dobermans are going into the background
just get
and
back
they just disappear. If I would have saw that and it's
Yes.
like, oh, this has got nothing.
At least we didn't have that.
Yeah, that is true. That is,
Mr. Squeakers didn't just disappear. Well, he did disappear, but we don't know he disappeared.
yeah,
He's just on the top of the shelf
yeah.
somewhere.
Top shelf and there again. We'll get there when we get there in Toy Story 2. So yeah, that is my number one dislike. There are a lot of animation errors.
Yeah.
And now, granted, within the context, it'd be like it was good for what it was, but it did not age well.
Yes.
There's a lot of scenes where it's like, hey, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, somebody beat this toy with an ugly stick and it got worse over years.
Yes.
Either way, so that's my number one. What is your number two?
So I'm going to continue on the art style nitpicking for
Okay.
this one. Underneath the van. That fight scene at the gas station where they're underneath the van.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my word. That is not what the underside of a car looks
No,
like.
it doesn't.
But it's the best they could do. I
Agreed.
understand this because
Agreed.
there's no way you could have detailed everything that's underneath that car.
No.
But you look at it and go, y'all didn't even finish this.
Mm-hmm.
You could have at least y'all could at least had like something where it's like it looks better, but it's like, no, it's like that looks, it doesn't even look like you textured half these models
Yeah.
that you've got representing the underside of this car.
Oh, yeah.
Which is amazing when you consider how much work they put into the upholstery of that car.
True.
But the underside of that car is like, oh wow, this is not good.
No, it's not.
And it's even worse when the 18-wheeler goes over them, and one tire gets close to crushing Woody's head, and you're looking and going, "That's a plastic tire. That is not a rubber tire." If it was smaller, I wouldn't care, because I don't care on the ones we see on Andy's mom's car,
Right.
because they're never right there in your face. But this is a plastic tire.
Oh, God.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
This looks like you took a model 18-wheeler truck that you had for another scene and blew it up. That's what it looks like.
Now, mind you,
Now, granted, it's a fast scene, but
it was very fast. It was very good. It was a very good scene until you get really close.
Yes, and you're looking and going, that's not the tread pattern any 18-wheeler uses for its tires. That looks like the tread pattern for a Model A tire. Tire you expect to see on that, like a bicycle tire. That's really more what that tire looks like.
Somebody bought the wrong tires.
This is the wrong tires for this 18-wheeler. That you know is the same 18-wheeler they used for the moving scene.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Because there's no way they made two of those trucks.
Nope, let's just recycle it.
Just recycle the model. Why not? No one's going to know. It's like we saw the side of that trailer in that shot.
Gosh, yeah. Oh, gosh.
What is your second dislike?
My second dislike would be, when they actually go into Pizza Planet. Oh, gosh. Because obviously understanding the technological limitations they had and how humans looked.
There was a lot of humans in that scene, and
Yeah.
it almost doesn't work.
No, it doesn't, because because either they're cropping their heads so much, or they're just blurring the characters out.
Now-
Because obviously they're focusing on the toys, but there's so much the background. It's just it's a mess.
So here's my question when it comes to Pizza Planet.
Yeah.
I'm confused by what they actually serve.
Okay.
They are called Pizza Planet.
Yes.
They are obviously it's obviously a space-themed style Chuck E. Cheese restaurant.
Yes.
Very painfully obvious that as such. Why do they have hamburgers? Because that's if you look at the box that Buzz is, I think Buzz is in the hamburger box thing.
I could be right. I'm probably missed.
See, one of them is in the box.
Yeah.
I think it's Buzz.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that thing is there just because they wanted the joke with when he replies and the box opens like it's a mouth. And plus, that really does fit his profile better than anything else they could have used.
That is true.
But at the same time, I'm looking forward to other movies where they literally use the same 4 cones.
Yeah.
And that worked. Why couldn't you have used 2 different soda cups here for this? That's not really a nitpick.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it confuses me what Pizza Planet actually sells. Obviously, they sell pizza. Apparently, they sell hamburgers too. How wide is this menu?
I don't know. It's probably like one of those. Now, granted, I've never been to Disney World or Disneyland, what have you. Hopefully, in the future, I'll be able to go.
They serve multiple stuff like that.
Yeah, so
But
it's
at different
kinda,
kiosks.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of the like the big family-friendly restaurants.
Yeah.
It's all like buffet style.
And admittedly, I've been to restaurants that served pizza and hamburgers.
Yeah.
But usually, it's a much nicer restaurant.
Yeah.
I say like that's a big jump. We are talking about pizza and hamburgers.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's usually something like, oh, we just have a big family-friendly movie. We're technically an Italian restaurant or something. And anyway, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's along the lines of be like, oh, we're just gonna serve a plethora of
Right.
things,
But
that cheap, very cheap,
But here's-
inexpensive food to make.
But here's my other question. Obviously, they deliver pizzas.
Yeah,
Do they also deliver hamburgers?
I don't know. Do
And
they?
if they do, I wish more places. This predates Grubhub and Uber Eats and all that.
Yeah.
Apparently, Pizza Planet was paving the way.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry to interrupt. I just had to bring up that Pizza Planet is a weird place.
No. I've actually seen a pizza. I was at a con one time, and someone had brought a Pizza Planet truck.
Yeah.
Like it was almost completely the truck, except for like a few things. It was down to the detail amazing. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, that entire scene where they're literally having to move around the scene to not show off oh my gosh, we couldn't completely make this thing work.
Oh, yeah.
Completely. So we're gonna work around it with our limitations and be like the scene works, but if you look in the background,
Don't look in the background of
Yeah.
these movies.
yeah,
They're doing the best they can.
yeah, they are. They're gonna be like, giving.
I said that after I
give-
completely ripped on them on these other things.
Yeah, it's giving these movies as much grace as possible.
Yes.
At the same time, you're giving that critical hammer on them for giving a very soft mallet hammer to it because the limitations.
Bear in mind, people, we do actually like this movie. It's
Yes.
just we have to come up with our way. Our formula is we have to come up with stuff we don't like about it.
That's one of the curses of being a movie critic.
It's what's called trying to be as objective as we can, despite the fact we're not very objective for movie reviewers.
No, we're not. But yeah, that is my number dos.
All right, my number 3. My number 3 is I just had it and I lost it. It's so much fun with all these others. Okay, my number 3 is the simple fact that we don't get to see all these characters return. Now, granted, most of these characters are not major characters.
Yeah.
We see the binoculars, I think, in one more movie.
Yeah.
Mr. Microphone,
Yeah.
I think he does not return.
No, he doesn't.
That's because the character's gotten older and the stuff's gone to garage sale.
Yeah.
And even like RC, I think has one other movie that he's in. Also, here's an interesting question: what happened to RC's controller? Because when they were at the rock, when RC's battery had run down, you see either Woody or Buzz, I don't remember which one.
Yeah, that's right.
Sets it down on the ground, and then you don't see the controller the rest of the movie.
That is true.
That controller got left on the side of the road, and now RC is worthless.
Yeah, pretty much.
He can drive himself, but now Andy can't.
Yeah, he's become
That is so sad.
That is true. I didn't think of that.
Also, my second question: was it RC's battery that died, or was it the battery in the controller that died?
Yeah,
because having had an RC car, a radio controlled car, it could be either one.
Yeah. Although
from the looks of things, it was the battery in RC. But then, how is RC alive?
Yeah.
See, that's one of the weird things about Toy Story and its franchise. There are toys that are alive, and there's toys that aren't, and there's no explanation as to why one or the other is the case.
That is true.
Also, Bo Peep being made out of porcelain, how does she move? At all.
That is true. That is so true.
That's just the question I've always had. There's a lot of these little stupid things that honestly mean nothing. Granted. And it's things that bug me when we get further on in the franchise, namely the fourth one with a certain spork.
Oh, gosh. I know there are a lot of people who like this character.
I know, but he raises too many questions that honestly I didn't think of until I saw that movie, and now I'm looking at this one and going, why isn't the desk talking? Why isn't the
that just give her
the toy chest should be alive by these rules?
You would think,
and yet it's not.
Yeah, because
there's no clear indication as to what is a toy and what isn't, and what about being a toy makes it come to life.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I will admit right here and now, you don't need to know that information.
No.
It is not important to the enjoyment of the story.
True.
But I'm sitting there going, explain this to me. I don't need some scientific explanation. What I need is some professor doll, something that looks like, I don't know. They could have brought in the Ninja Turtles. And it's Donnie that does machines, right?
Donatello.
Donnie could have explained this whole thing as a joke. And it would probably be as accurate as an explanation we'd ever get.
Gosh.
And probably it would never be faltered, because that would have saved me a headache. Or the Power Rangers would have been around at this time. Have the Blue Ranger explain it.
Just at the toy show.
He wasn't owned by Disney yet, but hey, who cares?
Yeah, I can see the
I mean, we've got
logistical nightmare of
we've
getting
got
that done.
Totoro hanging out in Toy Story 3, and it's not like Disney owns him either.
Yeah.
Didn't then, and definitely doesn't now.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, that does bring a very good point of how their logic base of which toys are alive and which aren't, because you see throughout the series of these films that some you'll see characters come to life, and when those characters are alive, there's other toys in the background doing nothing, not even moving, no blinking, nothing.
I brought up earlier that there's a mousetrap game.
Yeah.
Why aren't the mice escaping the game and talking to people? Or are they just running around that box forever and ever, and no one's getting them out because maybe the mice are annoying? We don't know. We don't know.
So many questions. So many questions.
So many questions that are completely unimportant, admittedly. But
oh man.
Anyway,
I do like that. That was a very good observation of, sentient or non-sentient.
Yes. Why are some of the toys sentient? Why are some of them not? And this just leads into we'll get to Toy Story 4 when we get to Toy Story 4.
Yes.
But it is that movie's creation of that character that brought all this to mind. Because otherwise, I would have just let it go, as the song says.
Yeah. You couldn't hold it back anymore anyway.
Exactly. At this point, I can't. So, what is your third dislike?
Oh, let me count the ways, or let me figure my mind out. Oh, Good night. That'd be like your entire section brought up so many questions in my head.
Yeah, things you're not supposed to think about.
No,
but,
you're not.
But the fourth movie made me think about them, and now it just raises more questions.
Okay, here's one. Here's one. This is kind of my third, but it's kind of a really huge hypothetical like you went with. Okay, so you have Sid
Yes.
and his hybrid toys.
Yes.
And his hybrid toys. So my thought is, okay, he's, ripped and torn and just, amalgamated all of these other toys. So now do you have these toys that now have a conflicted conscious? Or is it two toys that are now one that are now their subconscious merged?
Oh, they've all got a hive mind at this point.
Yeah, hive mind. Yeah, exactly. So I kept thinking, would that be like that? That boggles the mind. It's like, what the world?
I mean, it helps that none of Sid's toys talk.
Thank
the Lord.
That would have been okay. That entire scene is like creepy as can be.
Yes.
When you first watch it as a kid, it's like, oh my, it's
the spider baby.
Oh gosh.
It's like, good night. That is right out of a horror movie.
I remember.
I've heard of head crabs before. I just didn't expect to be exposed to them when I was 10 years old.
Oh my gosh, yes. Because I remember watching when that first happened. That I was like, oh my word, what in the world?
That first moment when he's like, what is wrong with that baby doll's head?
It's
under there.
Come
It's
here.
like, it's like, oh my, where are we?
We've gone to Toy Hades and be like, how can I get out of here?
And also, how did all the toys? I know during that last scene,
Yeah,
there was some communication going on between, because you see some of the toys whisper to the ones that have been out there for who knows how long.
yeah.
To let them know, and I guess there must have been some communication, but how did the giant RC truck
That
dump
is
truck
true.
know to come out of the sand pit? What's driving it?
Yeah, exactly.
That brings up more of my point there.
So
This is not playing by. There are no rules to this. Is my problem,
yeah,
or no known rules.
yeah, that is true. There's the do toys feel pain? Because obviously when Buzz loses an arm, he doesn't feel any pain, but that brings up a good almost.
Then why are they worried about the other toys eating them?
Yeah, or why are you so worried you get blown up?
Yeah, you could be put back together.
Yeah, exactly.
It's probably not pleasant,
No, it's not.
but
Like you're just gonna fall apart, and they're gonna bring
never
you
be whole again.
Yeah, be like they're gonna bring you back together in some capacity.
Right.
Well, I know we've gone
You'll
really
be
deep into the psychological.
I'm not going to touch on that joke that I caught for the first time, but
Either way,
you know which character I'm thinking of too.
we'll
talk about that after.
Yeah, remind me later. But yeah, that whole conversation just brings us so many different psychological and just ideas of obviously be like the torment of like two toys being merged together. Now is that two ideas conflicting in one another or something like that, because you can go really deep down into that psychological term rabbit hole.
I don't know. I kind of figure, admittedly, we don't know toy anatomy,
No,
where the brain is.
well, that's true.
One assume, and I'm speaking metaphorically as the
Yeah.
brain being the center of what would be the toy's conscious. In my mind, it stays with the head,
Yeah,
because that's the only thing that makes the baby crab work.
yeah, that is true.
But also, are they semi-dead when their head gets chopped off before they use electrician's tape to connect them back together?
I don't think they necessarily
Also-
die. They just kind of be like they are blown apart or
Right.
disassembled, and then you bring them back together, and then it's okay. Now is it because one arm's from another toy?
Yes.
This and this and this. So is there this?
We don't know.
Yeah, it's
We
so
really don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Also, all of Hannah's toys pretty much are the same type of doll that it's obvious she's remade over and over again.
Yeah,
By hand. Do her toys talk too?
yeah.
Because they have sewn together mouths. They have no mouth, but they must scream.
Oh my word!
Like I
Wow,
said,
we went
if you
really
think
deep down the
about
rabbit hole in
this,
this
if
one.
you think about this too hard, you will ruin the movie for you.
Oh my gosh, this got terrifying even more. Oh my gosh.
And this is not even getting into the sick questions.
No. Oh gosh. Like how? It's like yeah. That
Moving
would be,
on. Moving on.
We could be here for another hour talking about that.
We don't need to discuss Bo Peep's Cerberus sheep.
Oh gosh, no, nope. We don't do that. Or Sid's terrifying childhood. Let's not do that.
Yes.
Either way, so yeah, that is my number.
Although at least Sid does show up in the third movie.
That is
Fresh
true.
man.
That was a very good Easter egg. So that is my number 3.
All right. That brings us to the end of this very strange episode.
Yes.
Because we've thought way too much about stuff we shouldn't have been thinking about in this one.
We dove too deeply into the toy box.
Indeed. So we need to discuss, or we need to give our ratings for this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving this movie a 9.
Okay.
Admittedly, I am giving it a lot of grace for the time period it was
Yeah.
created in because, quite frankly, they did amazing work with what they had.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great detail in there, a lot of stuff they didn't have to pay attention to, like I said before.
Mm-hmm.
And nearly every negative thing I brought up about this movie
Yeah.
is so nitpicky that I didn't think of it while I was watching the movie.
I gotcha.
It's just if we're being honest. All that came up after the fact. So that's why I'm giving it a 9. I mean, it's not perfect. It's nowhere near perfect, but it's still an amazing movie
Yeah.
for what it is. So yeah, I'm giving it a 9.
Okay. I will give it. I'm going to go one notch below that with an 8.5.
Mm-hmm.
There again, giving the movie as much grace as it deserves. It's an amazing movie, absolutely incredible genius. The fact that they did this movie at all, they were
Yes.
able to pull it off. But like the movie has not aged very well. Obviously you're going to have technical flaws, and so now, Grant, I give it an 8.5. It's not. I'm not giving it a 2.
Yes.
It's still one of these
It's still up
here.
there.
It's up here as a film, and it's gonna be up here all up.
Just compare that to all the other movies we've given these ratings to.
Oh yeah, just think about that for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm giving it an 8.2. Now, granted, I am more of a fan of Toy Story 2 than Toy Story 1. So
It's going to be interesting when we get to that one.
yeah,
Anyway.
yeah. So that is my ranking.
All right. So, right now that we're at the end of this episode, we get the very, very fun task of seeing what of 2 movies at this point
Yeah.
we're actually going to be reviewing next week.
All right.
So, right now, sitting at 1, 2, 5, and 6 is Monsters vs. Aliens. And 3 and 4 belong to Dragon Ball Z: The Dead Zone. This was your movie we reviewed this week.
Yes.
So, and all of these are my picks that have been unlucky enough not to gotten rolled. So I guess I will see which one of these we get to do. We finally get to do Monsters vs. Aliens next week.
A movie I've never watched before.
Oh, this is a weird one, I'll grant you.
Okay.
But you'll understand why I like it after about 5 minutes into the movie.
Okay.
Because you know my tastes in some things.
True. Definitely let me borrow it.
After I watch it.
Okay.
Which means I need to watch it this week.
Yeah.
Well, I need to watch. You know what I mean.
Yes.
So join us next week for that. I'm trying to think of a good pun about for Monsters vs. Aliens, and I can't think of it at the moment. But anyway, join us next week for that one.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Come, Jacob. We must prepare for next week.
Prepare for what, Drew?
Same thing we do every week, Jacob. Record a podcast.
Oh, boy.
So where can they find you, Jacob?
They can find me on Facebook at Jacob B. Heron and Jacob's Daily Art Corner, my personal art Facebook page. On Twitter at Jacob B. Heron. On Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. And on Letterboxd at Jacob Heron.
where can they find you, Drew?
You can find me on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. You can also find my Facebook page at Drew's Photo Bin, where I upload my photography. You can also follow me on Letterboxd at GGeorge759 and Twitter at GGeorge759. Where can they find us, Jacob?
You can also visit our website, thecellcast.podbean.com, where you will find every episode we released and links to listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Stitcher. Our RSS feed, if we aren't in your favorite podcast app directory, please share, review, and subscribe to us there and share us with your friends.
You will also find a link to our Facebook group, the Double Feature Podcast Community, where we talk about both animated and live-action movies. We share this with our other podcasts, which we do with Jacob's brother Jim, at the Movie of the Week podcast, where we talk about live-action movies. You can also email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. Also, please like our page on Facebook. We try to post about upcoming movies. If you comment on that movie's post before we record, we'll read your comments in the episode. And remember, every time we say The Cellcast, that is with a single L.